You are most welcome to another exciting review of The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. All right. And today we're going to be looking at chapter 9, which is titled Wealth is What You Don't See. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. We should be careful to define the difference between wealthy and rich. It is more than semantics, and not knowing the difference between wealthy and rich is what keeps a lot of people, countless people, very poor. Rich is your current income. Anybody can be rich. If you get your salary, you are rich. If you drive a big car, people will regard you to be rich. If you live in a big house, people will regard you to be rich. You send your children to the best of schools, people would regard you to be rich. But then, after spending all of the money on the car, on the big houses, on the expensive schools, do you have any assets? Right, that is there for you, unspent assets that you can fall back on. Rich is a current income. Somebody that is driving $100,000 car is almost certainly rich, even if the person has to be paying every year, every month from his or her salary. For you to be able to pay from your salary every month conveniently, it means that you are rich. The same thing with somebody who has a big home, right? So it is not difficult to spot rich people. You would often see rich people by the material things that they have, and they go out of their ways to make people known. But real wealth is not something that you can see with your eyes. Yes, and it shows that not many people are wealthy. Money has many ironies, and there is one important one that says that wealth is what you don't see. As a valet in a hotel, around the 2000s, where the author was working then in America, he would see a lot of people come to the hotel in their expensive cars, and he would help them to take their cars to the parking lot, right? Because then material possession took precedence over everything except oxygen. And that is still the case in our days right now. We give a lot of attention to those who own material things, to material possessions. If you see a Ferrari driving around, intuitively, you would assume that the owner or the driver is rich, right? For them to be driving such a big car, and you would immediately be wishing that, oh, you also could be driving that car. But the truth is that somebody can spend his or her entire salary on that car. After paying for that car, does the person have any other thing, any assets to fall back on? Somebody may be wearing a very expensive clothes, but what else? What assets does the person have? Somebody may be wearing a nice wig. That is worth the money of 1 acre of land, right? So by the time that wig is resold, what is going to be its value compared to somebody who has an acre of land somewhere? The land can appreciate, the person can resell in years to come and have something tangible to hold on to. So we need to be careful. There is an example of a guy here, and I found this to be very profound. His name was Roger, and he would usually come to where the author was working then. He was around his age. He would drive around in his Ferrari until suddenly the author started seeing him in an old Honda car, week after week. And then he had to ask him, what happened? What about the Ferrari? And shamelessly, the guy said, oh, the Ferrari had been repossessed because he couldn't keep up with the payments. He couldn't pay up the loan. And he just was not remorseful about it. So someone driving $100,000 car might be wealthy, but the only difference is that they have less than 100. They have, the $100,000 is no longer worth what it used to be. The moment you drive your car out of the garage, the value decreases. All right. So we tend to judge wealth by what we see. because that is the information that we have. We judge people based on their physical appearances, and we tend to assume that, oh, he must be rich, he must be rich, and all of that. We pay too much attention to what we can see, and sometimes this judgment is wrong. That's why people do a lot of things. They'll go out of their ways to impress, because they know that as human beings, we are moved by outward appearances. But I have seen so many wealthy people who appear modest. You would not even pay attention to them. And let me say this, that's why a lot of people miss out on opportunities. They just size people up by what they are wearing, and then they are rude to them. They don't treat them nicely. But somebody who is probably wearing something considered to be very nice and expensive, meanwhile, this person has nothing to offer apart from what they are wearing. Especially in this age and time where we pay so much attention to fake it till you make it. So everybody is trying to fake it till they make it. Everybody is trying to look the part, to talk the part and all of that. But the truth is that you don't actually see wealth. Wealth is the nice cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, the watches not worn, the clothes forgone, and the first class upgrade declined. Wealth is financial assets that haven't yet been converted into the things that you see. Financial assets still lying somewhere. You have the option to use it to buy a very beautiful and expensive jewelry, but you say, no, I am going to wait. Unfortunately, that's not how we think about wealth, because you can't contextualize what you don't see. There was a time that Rihanna almost went bankrupt, and she sued her financial advisor. And the advisor responded by saying, was it really necessary to tell her that if you spend money on things, you will end up with the things and not the money? If you spend all your money buying clothes, you have your clothes there, right? But your money is gone. Nobody needs to be told that. When most people say they want to be millionaire, what they're actually saying is that they need $1 million to spend on things. So we really need to differentiate between being wealthy and being rich. Being wealthy is hidden. It is income not spent. Wealth is an option not yet taken to buy something later. So the value of wealth lies in offering you options, flexibility, growth to one day purchase all of the beautiful things. Can someone be wealthy and not rich? Someone can be wealthy and be rich, and we'll get to that very soon. You can be wealthy and rich at the same time, but we'll soon know why you shouldn't focus on being rich if you are not yet wealthy. Otherwise, it is misplaced priority. So you are wealthy, you have your money, more like delayed gratification. You have land somewhere, you have assets, you have stocks, you have money in the money market, investments here and there. Your friends are building houses. I heard something from Mrs. Ibukwa recently. She said that when she was much younger, like in her 30s or late 20s, thereabout, I can't remember, she had a lot of money, but then she chose to take that money to do her MBA abroad. She had the option of using that money to build or buy a house, which was what all her mates were doing at that time. But she decided to invest that money in her education. But can we all deny the fact that she has gone so far in life? All the positions she has held, the first female general managing director of First Bank of Nigeria. Right, she invested in herself. That is unspent assets. That is wealth. For me, wealth even goes beyond money. It goes beyond assets like lands and all of those things. Your wealth of knowledge can bring you money as well. Your wealth of experience. That's why you apply for a job, you'll be getting 5 times the salary of what somebody else is getting, somebody who did not invest in his or her education, because you come to the place of work with a rich, with your wealth of experience, a rich one at that. First woman chairman of First Bank. Thank you. You know, that is it. So beyond the money for me, your wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience, the wealth of the value that you carry. So you can decide to say, oh, let me give you this example. There's one lady that decided to invest in real estate recently. When I looked at her profile, she's just managing. She's managing. Her income is not much at all, but she stretched herself. She bought a plot of land for palm tree plantation that can give her income for 50 years or more, right? She committed some funds to it and decided that she would be paying the remaining little by little. When I looked at her profile, I was just like, this is somebody that is determined to secure a financial future. I'm sure that a typical lady her age or who has the same status as her would say, oh, let me spend this money on something, but that is wealth. She's building where she may not look like it. She may not even wear any expensive clothes, but she's building something sustainable. She's building her own wealth. She may not look rich. In fact, she doesn't look rich to me, right? That is wealth. That thing that you can say, oh, I have the option to buy this car, but no, let me invest it in this. There is opportunity to grow here, to make more money. And when you are wealthy, you can be conveniently rich. The truth is that, and the book titled Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki corroborates this, because he also said in his own book that the poor people, they spend all that they have to look rich. When they make profit, they immediately spend it. They look rich. They buy cars. They want people to be impressed by their appearances. But the rich people or the wealthy people, what do they do? When they make profits, they reinvest it. They plug back into their businesses. They don't want to impress anybody. It is only when their asset has grown, the business has grown, then they can conveniently spend out of it. So now to your question that can you be wealthy and not be rich? Here is a very good illustration. There are, of course, wealthy people who also spend a lot of money on stuff, on cars, big houses, expensive jewelry, and so on. But even in those cases, what we see is their richness, not their wealth. We see the cars they chose to buy, and perhaps the schools, the big schools that they choose to send their children to. We don't see the savings that they still have, a lot of money that they still have in savings, their retirement accounts, or their investment portfolios. So we see the homes they bought, not the homes they could have bought, and they stretched themselves thin. They are not spending all their money to buy that home. If they buy that home, it means that they still have a lot of money in reserve. That's what Robert Kiyosaki did. He said he and his wife invested. They invested in real estate. They allowed the money to wait for a few years. They didn't change their cars. They didn't do anything. When they waited, they delayed their gratification. Then after they made enough profit on one of the properties, the wife took some of the money and bought herself a Porsche car, right, to reward herself. So they could conveniently buy that without their account balance crying. They won't feel it. They won't feel strained. So if you feel strained to buy things, to acquire things, then it means that you are not building wealth, right? So I hope we now get the difference. You can be wealthy and rich. If you are wealthy, then it means that you can be conveniently rich. Unlike a fresh graduate who is just, coming out of the university, makes his first salary, spends it on cars, goes to rent a very big apartment in a very rich location, thinking that, oh, I have arrived. But after doing that, he has to drink garri, cassava flakes, because there is no money, nothing extra, no money to eat good food. So the danger here is that I think most people deep down want to be wealthy. They want freedom. They want flexibility, which is what financial assets not yet spent can give you. But many of us have it in us that to have money is to spend money. Once you have the money, spend it. I hear so many people say, money is meant to be spent. Money is water. Money is this. Money is that. Enjoy your money. Tomorrow is not guaranteed and things like that. What if tomorrow is now guaranteed and you have spent all the money that you made today, right? So we don't often restrain ourselves. The restraint is not there. The self-control is not there. For you to be wealthy, you exercise a lot of self-control. You will subscribe to delayed gratification. You will still be able to afford so many more of those things that you are yearning to have now. But allow the money that you have now to work for you. Live a modest life. You have not yet arrived and you know it. I don't know your status, but you know it. So you have to tell yourself the truth. Don't try to impress anybody. We learned about that yesterday. People don't care about you. They only care about the clothes you are wearing, and they are wishing that, they were the ones wearing that clothes. They are not necessarily interested in you. If you are driving a big car, they are not looking at you inside the car. They are looking at the car and saying, God, when will I have this kind of car to myself? And if you think that having money, wearing fancy dresses, going beyond your stretch or your budget to buy things, material things, will make people respect and admire you, it is a big lie. Once those things are not there, they're not human beings, right? People are good at learning imitation. We are copying people. We see their Instagram pictures. We see them on Facebook. We see the cars. We see the clothes. And you are thinking that, this person has arrived. It is not true. It is not true at all. We can describe this to doing exercise. We make 100,000 today and we immediately want to spend 150,000. You go to the gym, you lose some calories, and what happens? When you come back from the gym, maybe you lose 100 calories, for example. Then you get back home, you eat a big bowl of eba. You get back 200 calories, right? So you are spending more than you are earning. You will go again. That is a rat race. And I don't want any of us to fall into that. So differentiate between being rich and being wealthy. Wealth is not what you see. Somebody can be wearing very simple clothes that are not expensive, but they may be wealthy. They are building something sustainable. Whereas rich people, some people just want to look rich. They want to appear rich. They have nothing. No savings, no investments, nothing. The clothes they wear is all they have. The wig they have is all they have. That car is all they have. If that car has an accident or is grounded tomorrow, anything happens, nothing. They will trek. Some of them they are even paying back loans. I know of a couple. The car that the wife is driving they are paying every month for it. It will take them 7 years to finish paying. The one that the husband is driving, it will take another 7 years to pay. So they must not be out of job. There's nothing like, let's stop working for a while. No, they must keep working. They must keep working. Otherwise, the cars will be repossessed. All right. Thank you so much. I hope that you've learned one or two things from tonight's review. And thank you for making this an interactive session. God bless you. Please don't forget to like this video. Share your comments with me in the comment section below. And please subscribe to this channel in case you're yet subscribed. I remain Olaide Agbaje, also known as First Lady. And on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. We are not meeting tomorrow, Sunday. We'll come back together again on Monday as we review chapter 10, which is titled Save Money. The only factor you can control generates one of the only things that matters. How wonderful. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. I'll see you on Monday by God's grace. Until then, be intentional. Bye. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're welcome. Amen, amen, amen. Bye.